Hey guys, it's I Go By Sai, and you're at my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a shoot I did with Je suis Lauren, my girlfriend Lauren. She's a model, she's an actress. Her YouTube's down below in the description. She helped me with this shoot, being my model, and I think the results turned out pretty good. So what I wanted to explain is what type of setup I use for this. So traditionally, I am a cinematographer, but I did grow up doing photography. That was the very first thing I did, and it was more like photojournalism, but I really liked a lot about the realness of photojournalism. Now, the thing for me is I was always kind of a natural light photographer, and that's just kind of like out of the fact that I didn't have a budget for lighting. But the one thing is that you really learn how to see light and how it moves, and that's what a cinematographer does. So for me, I'm not really super excited about doing strobes, but I do like to have lights that double purpose. So what I got was a Godox SL-60Y, which is the tungsten version. And then I got a parabolic 36-inch angler softbox with a grid to complement that. Now the thing about that combo is that it's a continuous light, so I can use it for photography and I can use it for video. The downside compared to strobes is that when you're outdoors and you need that extra oomph of light, it's not quite there with this light. But I mean, for $130 of a light and then maybe $100 of modifier, not a bad idea for anything else that you need to do. The other thing is I shot this with Lauren's Canon M50. I didn't feel like bringing my Fuji. It would have been a lot of extra work. And then plus on the other side of that, my roommate decided that he wanted to get married the day before, and I left my camera inside, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt this. So that's the other reason why I left that camera behind. But that's the thing is that I needed to use a camera, and we use that for vlogging, and then we also use it for the pictures. So that's a multi-purpose camera, and it only cost me about $400 to get it with a battery on eBay. Then what we did is we put an adapter, a Viltrox adapter on it to speed boost the lenses so we could use full frame glass instead of the Canon M glass, which isn't very pliable to other cameras or other Canon series. And so we were just using a 24-70 and a 55 Otis 1.4 lens. The Otis is, to an honest extent, not quite fair comparatively for a lot of people, because not many people are going to drop $2,000 or $4,000 on one of these lenses. But a nifty 50, which is $100, is definitely comparable in some instances. So I would say you could grab that lens and you'd be just fine. The cool thing about that Viltrox is that it will take that 1.4 and then turn it into a 1.1 lens. So it's super fast, and then you don't have to worry about light as much with that aperture. So that's the one real big benefit about it. That coupled with this light setup, okay, allows you to shoot 1.1, and then you can control that light, and then you're really off to the races. The really cool thing about this Godox is it comes with a little remote. So what you can do is you can go power, you can turn it off, you can turn it up and down. So you have a lot of flexibility with it. So that's the nice thing about it, is instead of getting a strobe with a meter on the top where you're controlling it, you have a little remote. So you don't really lose out too much on that. The other thing that I used in this combination is this light, which is a Quasar, okay? Nice soft light, it's super bright. And then it also has magnetic bits on the back and the front of this, okay? These magnets allow you to just push it to anything. So right now it's, hear that? It's going right on my workbench, which is really, really nice. So I use that as an additional light in this lighting setup. So I'll show you how these lights were used. In this picture, as you'll see, there's a blue light on the back of her head, and then there's a yellow light on the front. What I did here is I used the Quasar as a backlight that hangs over here on a C-stand, and then on the front key I'm using the Godox with the parabolic and the grid. Now, that grid is super, super, super important, because without that grid, if you see it behind her, the wall is dark. If I didn't have that, you would have seen all that light on the wall. And the importance of that is that your eye focuses straight on Lauren. You're not focusing on anything else. And then the other thing is I'm using that color temperature difference. You got 56 on the back and 32 in the front. It creates this nice complementary colors in the skin tones. And that's something that I like to do. That's a stylistic choice, but if you want to do it, that's a nice thing. You know, just a choice. I mean, that's what we do. So as photographers, you want to make sure that you're making your aesthetic choices. What I like might not be what you like. So, you know, that's what a good example of the next shot is, that's all in tungsten. But one more thing on this last series is that the reason why this works pretty well for softness is that you got to put that softbox close to the subject. Okay, so in terms of softness, the further away you are, the less contrasty and the less soft it is. And then the closer, the more contrast and the more softness you get. So if you want that to be punchy, you bring it close. If you want it to be more subdued, you bring it further away. So those are just some things about your positioning of your lights. A lot of times, and I'll show you this picture right now, this is when Lauren lit it. This is when I lit it. Okay? Same exact lights. Okay? She just didn't know what to do with it. And that's not her fault. She just hasn't been lighting for as long as I have. And she's learning. But that's the difference, is that just because you buy this equipment does not mean you're going to be a stellar photographer or really good at lighting. You have to understand how that light plays and works. So play with moving it in, play with moving it out. Really see what you like and what you really admire about that light, and what you don't. Whatever things that you don't like about it, don't use it for that. Okay. So the last part is this last photo, which is all tungsten. There's no white light going on in here. And I'm using the Quasar for the key, and then I'm using, the eye light, okay? And then I'm using the Godox for the key. And then I'm using all these practicals in the background to be backlights for her hair, okay? You'll see there's a light rim around her, and it worked out pretty well. I'm shooting pretty much wide open 1.1 on the Otis, and then I'm using that 24-70 a little bit for those wide shots. So one thing that you will not notice, and I'm sure Lauren might not like me saying this, but she's 5'2". She looks like she's almost like 5'8" or 5'9" in these pictures. And that's because I'm using that 55 and it's really compressing her and making her look tall. And then I'm going down lower a little bit. So when I'm taking that picture, I'm squatting. So you got to remember that your lens angles and those things also contribute to that composition working well. So what I'm doing is I'm going full brightness on the Godox, and then I'm just going low on the apertures, and then I'm really kind of making it have that shallow depth of field. And with that Viltrox, it really makes the camera look more like a full frame. And that's the other thing that I wanted to point out, is a lot of people are stuck on the fact that you need a full frame to be able to pull off full frame looks. Not entirely true. The Viltrox really can get you to that place. And then the awesome thing about it is the autofocus still works on the Viltrox. Yay! That's pretty much it. I mean, as you can see in this diagram, that's where the light is, that's where the Quasar is. And from there, I just went in and I kind of played with the lighting and how close it was and the angles and moving that Quasar around. But really only 2 lights and some practicals. So you can get a lot done with that. So down below, I'm going to show like the links to all these products, and then you can kind of see in piecemeal like what you need to buy or what you don't. And then I'll also suggest some other modifiers that are a little cheaper than the one I used that can get you the similar results. If you have any other questions or comments, just leave them down below. Like, I would love to hear anything. And then if you like the video, just hit like and then subscribe for more content. I mean, I'm going to Ghana, I'm going to Morocco, Hopefully, if that coronavirus doesn't stop me, I'll go there. Damn, coronavirus. Anyways, if I get to go there, I'm going to be filming, and I hopefully I'm going to take the S1H with me. If not, probably just my GH5S and GH5 and then the XT3. I know you got to have multiple cameras out with you on location like that because it's going to be hard to get an additional camera if something happens. But yeah, that's mainly my combination. I'm working for this travel business called And Travel. I'll put their link down below too. If you're ever looking for trips with guides and also itineraries, so then you don't even have to think about that stuff. People set it up for you. It's a great travel agency, and my friend Brittany has created this service, so you should look into it. Other than that, thanks for joining. It's been great, and I'll see you on the next video.